if the fix and flip model, of course, will still be around and be doable, but how is the development side going to transform the next 20 years in Philadelphia, you think?
I think oddly enough now, because there's been so much development everywhere, post-COVID with the interest rate rises, the material cost rises, and the labor increases.
Important Live, Gentlemen's Quarters Barbershop. Very special guest in today, Malik Benin, friend, mentor, real estate developer, investor. Pleasure to have you today.
Pleasure, Mark.
Always. So just starting off, I know you come from a background within consumer product, and you started to get into the investing side of real estate, of fix and flip, but you've also, communicated to me the vast knowledge base that you've acquired, and from that, the other opportunities within real estate. If you could kind of share your journey and go through that.
Sure, sure. So I started off like lots of small investors in the fix and flip space in 2018. I was with a group of people who were investing in that space. We did New Jersey for the first pass, and then we shifted back to Philadelphia. And moving through COVID, moving through all the things that were happening in 2021, 22, the entire market changes. And I didn't realize, I mean, I think there's this idea in real estate, especially at the flip level, that it's infinite. Like it just continues forever, and it doesn't actually. Markets are moving. After COVID, interest rates went up, labor went up, material costs went up, and the whole game changed. And so there are lots of people who lost their shirt in 2008, and there are lots of people who lost their shirt when the mortgage rates shifted. They got locked out or locked in to things they couldn't handle. And so for us, we went through a series of renovations and flips. And after COVID, the whole game changed. And so I had to really pivot again, because it's constantly happening. I'm learning. Guys who build skyscrapers go out of business every day. So I went back to graduate school, working on the master's degree in real estate development, have a real estate license, and began to see that the fix and flip space is not as plentiful as you think. And it has more to do with, not that there is not as many opportunities as you think, but you need more skills over time. And so the commercial guys, and I've known this for a while, the guys, the Toll Brother guys, the guys who are actually building small scale multifamily projects, they have infinitely more skills than we do. I mean, because they're able to get land cheap, they're able to do adaptive reuse, they're able to do a whole multitude of things that we never see. And so I really had to shift. And so I have taken a job working for a small scale multifamily developer. And the array of things that I'm seeing, I never could have imagined. Right? That plus graduate school have really, transformed my entire experience in the real estate world.
So now coming out of the fix and flip phase within real estate, how were you able to pivot of now seeing the game and understanding that there was more to the real estate industry by two ways? You went ahead and acquired new knowledge of going to school, but also you of now being able to see it from a development side.
It's kind of weird. So I picked graduate school. I started off at Jefferson, was really disappointed because they didn't have the programmatic angle, right? They didn't have internships and all that. And as I was researching graduate programs, NYU described a scenario where people in their late 20s, early 30s are pivoting, and they're oftentimes, they go through graduate school, they spend this $100,000 and they don't get jobs. It doesn't catch. And the argument they make is you have to have internships at the same time to kind of galvanize the new knowledge, right? Number one. And then number two, you have to have like legitimacy. You're going out from the jobs. I work for this shop and I work for that shop. And so I started looking for an internship right away. And I stumbled into a small scale multifamily developer and realized this is a different world. But more importantly, stepping back to the flip game, fix and flip game, the knowledge doesn't grow. Okay? We talked about this before. You could renovate a bathroom and renovate a kitchen and change a roof and windows, but if you really press it, it doesn't grow. And I've noticed that those guys don't migrate. They're fixed in that environment forever. You pull permits, yeah, but they're always easy permits. They're nothing special. You pull out a load-bearing wall and open up a floor plan, but you're not doing anything transformative. And as the market has these various cycles, you have to create value, and you can't find it all the time. So you have to actually build it from scratch. And so if it's not ground up, it might be something more dynamic where you're building on additions and doing something dynamic. That knowledge is not in a fix and flip guy at all. They don't have it. And And so in this commercial space now, surveyors, architects, engineers, civil, the whole world changes. And so we have a scenario now where we're engaged in a project where we have 7 lots, 7 parcels that are side by side, contiguous. We're going to consolidate them into one and then subdivide them into 3 and then build something because of a constraint, power, water, and end up with something new and transformative. That you don't get in a fix and flip space. And so now that I see that's what's happening, I can't even describe it. My mind is blown every time I think about doing something like that. You can take a bunch of parcels. I think it's called assemblage when you put them all together, and then you can subdivide them and do all sorts of things. And that zoning process, the surveying process, it's very different. And so I think that transformation is what's so exciting. And the other thing that's exciting about real estate is you don't age out, right? People are getting laid off in industries all over the country. Old white guys aren't aging out of that knowledge. That knowledge is it just builds and transforms and mutates. You know what I mean? And the losses and the wins, all that stuff, that knowledge is just transferable.
It's vast.
Oh, it's incredible.
Sure.
Yeah.
So now within roughly, let's say like the last 20 years, specifically within Philadelphia, right, there was a gold rush of transforming neighborhoods, and it particularly was within the fix and flip. What do you maybe see in the foreseeable future if the fix and flip model, of course, will still be around and be doable, but how is the development side going to transform the next 20 years in Philadelphia, you think?
I think oddly enough now, because there's been so much development everywhere, post-COVID with the interest rate rises, the material cost rises, and the labor increases, the average flipper is priced out. The margins don't exist anymore, right? And the neighborhoods are being gentrified, and so all the values have shifted. And so you have to have a whole new strategy. Then you have our mayor who's introducing the Turn the Key program, where she wants to bring 30,000 new homes into the marketplace. So it's almost impossible for the fix and flip guy to do it. But in Philadelphia in particular, they're trying to create home ownership through unique bonding mechanisms where they're raising money to help offset the cost and give people equity over periods of time. And so if you can't build new houses, you almost aren't even in the game, right? So if you're doing a fix and flip, that's one thing. If you can find them, and it's super competitive. Wholesalers are floating around, real estate agents are floating around, and homeowners are holding on to stuff because they know that they see the neighborhood changing, right? You have $500,000 houses. I was at a meeting last week, Chester Ave, 58th and Chester Avenue, $650,000. Could you imagine? Right? And the neighborhood sees this happening. So I mean, everyone. And so if you're a homeowner and you see it, or you have your grandmother's house, you're not selling that, right? So everything has gone up. And so if you don't really have a dynamic play, you're priced out. I mean, it's just. I can imagine. I mean, you and I have talked about this before. If you're down in D.C., if you were down in D.C. 20 years ago, you saw the future, right? D.C. has gotten. It's a whole different world. And so I think we're gonna witness that here under new constraints, right? You've got a new pricing regimen, you've got new market constraints, but it's still the same. It's gentrification, by no other name.
And to kind of piggyback off of that with gentrification, what have you seen in both sides of the field of fix and flip and then development of how gentrification is either helping or hurting the city?
It's interesting. It's like a double-edged sword. When you have massive amounts of poverty and the housing stock gets degraded over time, it has to be knocked down, right? I mean, we're old enough to know what happened 80s and 90s. The cities fell apart, but Baltimore, areas of DC, Philadelphia, Detroit, I mean, it just happens. And so I think it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. These guys, this society just decided we have poverty, and then poverty is going to evolve. And this is the evolution of poverty in a capitalist society where you've got massive amounts of assets that aren't being taken care of, and then what do? Plus, we've got the city. We've talked about this. This is interesting. I'm born in the 70s. The average person had 3 kids. The suburbs didn't change the zoning laws. Those kids weren't coming home, and somebody in the 70s knew this. Demographers knew it. The zoning people knew that this was known. These cities were getting gentrified, whether we liked it or not, because they couldn't come home. Look at Ardmore. What did Ardmore? Ardmore didn't build anything new. Bryn Mawr, Haverford, Wayne, nothing new got built. They'd rather have quarter acre parcels are larger, and so you don't, we're not subdividing. There are no ADUs, accessory dwelling units. So I think in the 70s they knew
Mm.
this thing was going to change. I mean, there are other societies like England who did this.
Okay.
So this has been kind of like a work in progress, I think,
Okay.
ultimately.
Interesting.
We're just trapped. This is the way it goes.
Okay. So now coming out of that, we now have more knowledge, right? That's available to us as individuals and as families. Um, what do you think moving forward, specifically maybe for Black families, especially in certain areas that are, let's just be honest, of they're underneath gentrification that's currently happening within their neighborhoods, and I know it can be a case by case basis, but what do you think is a plan for people sometimes to be able to keep houses, sell them?
It's painful.
Mm.
It's painful. We talked before that as the taxes go up, you almost get priced out of your own neighborhood. I don't know. I really don't understand how you stop it. I really don't understand. I mean, I think it's like, again, it's just this machine that just grinds up neighborhoods. I don't know how you stop it. With the income disparity, it's almost impossible to keep up,
Okay.
right? I mean, and again, in the fix and flip world, you know what it costs to do a roof, windows, floors, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. So where is that money going to come from for these average families? Families with average incomes. It's almost impossible when you put the numbers together. I mean, I know there are grants with the city to help people, but you can't rebuild the house. I mean, as you're running through the city, you got knob and tube and oil heat, and I think we're just getting trapped. I don't know that it really is a solution. I think hold on. Maybe multiple family members recognize that the asset is worth holding on to.
Okay.
I mean, in Ardmore, all the families whose kids didn't, can't. I mean, and the multitude of reasons why. It's expensive. Home ownership is expensive. So I don't really know there is a strategy for it. I don't think, I kind of get the feeling that our society doesn't care.
Interesting.
It's just capitalism naked. It just runs. It doesn't really have I don't know.
And I like that key word with capitalism because, as we know as well now, private equity buying up tons of single family homes, right? Up and down, the eastern seaboard, of course, is happening in Texas and Arizona and these different places. Um, and there is now the notion that they want to turn us into a nation of renters. What do you see and feel about that?
I think it's happening. Again, if you look around the world, places like England, there are societies where they're ahead of us. I think we could see much of the future if we just moved outside of our traditional spaces. But I think that's happening. I think when the Blackstones and the other larger hedge funds decide to sell those portfolios, it might change. I mean, I think they're going to reach a point where either there'll be backlash from the citizenry or the legislators are going to be forced to do something about it. But I don't understand how it's sustainable to have a nation of renters. I don't get, right? We don't have pensions. We don't have inexpensive health care. Education is super expensive. So if you don't have an asset and all you have is a job and the market's shifting, we've got AI and all this other nonsense. I can't see how that ends well, you know?
And then just thinking of people within our community that want to get into real estate. What do you feel, through your experience, might be the best path, to be able to go on, to be able to get into real estate and be successful?
I think I mean, the number one program I think that's out there that gives you general knowledge is the Jumpstart Germantown model. Ken Weinstein has done something really, I think, kind of radical where you don't need a college degree. You need above average credit and some skills. And the skills are really being able to manage contractors and being able to look at what a neighborhood is doing. What's the ARV, the after renovation value, what is your asset worth, and then being able to build kind of just kitchen, bathroom, roof, windows, doors, blah, blah, blah. Just put that little bit together and just save your own neighborhood. I mean, I guess, speaking to your earlier question, if you wanted to head off gentrification, that model works where 2 or 3 of us in our neighborhood buy that house, right? Fix it up, sell it. I mean, but keep it, I think it speaks to like South Philly where cousins and uncles and aunts, they all live in the same neighborhood for a reason. And I think that kind of keeps it can keep gentrification at bay.
Mm.
But I think programs like Jumpstart are the ones that
Okay.
give you the knowledge. I think, and the weird thing is like it's not like you're going to run and get wealthy, but you're going to understand what your neighborhood is worth, why you should value protecting it. I mean, you don't know how to protect it if you don't have those skills. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's important.
So now coming out of Jumpstart program, which is a program that, like you said, just regular people can be able to get into. But then, of course, there's one with a little bit more formal education. Can you speak to what you know in your experiences of what you might be able to do at a school to be able to then transfer into real estate?
I think school is just the way to go. I think it's expensive. The programs range from 30 to say 100,000, but it's just nothing beats formal education. I think again you have to have practical knowledge all the while, whether it's internship or an actual job, but it's transformative. It is. Texas A&M. I shifted again out of Jefferson to Texas for a number of reasons, but it is amazing. Houston built 40,000 new homes last year. I just can't.
How?
They've got vast land.
Yeah.
Taxes are low. Resources are relatively expensive. I think labor is cheaper, but they just have this master plan community development model that because you've got, and it's flat. So you don't have all this nonsense. You're not busting up rocks and digging in valley. You're not doing all, it's just flat. So their problem is flooding, but you know, they're going to figure it out, I guess. But transformative in the sense that there's a broad array of skills that you never would see if you didn't go that route. It's one of the most enriching experiences I've ever had. It's insane. One of the professors at our school was on the team that built the largest master plan community in American history called the Woodlands. It's billions of dollars. It's just like, you know, and the weird thing is like we think of if you live in a city, you don't realize that people build towns in cities. So when you go to a place where they build one, it's, you know, they got water coming through it. It's rivers and so you wouldn't see it without school. It's just unfortunate. You don't, and I also think we have a bias about education where if you don't have a certain kind of credential, you're not even in the room. But I also think if you don't have a certain kind of knowledge, you don't even ask the question. And that's what I think this knowledge has started. It causes us all to ask different questions, right? Like I said, in the complicated scenario, it's not a complicated project, but the scenario is dynamic, where we take 7 lots, we combine them into one, and then we subdivide them into something else, and then we build that value. You can't get that as a real estate agent. You can't get that as a flipper. You know what I mean? And because in those roles, you never meet the surveyor, you never meet the architects, you never meet the planners, you never pull in those complicated permits, you never go on the zoning hearings, you're never fighting with neighbors. So you never, you know, it's like you really have to up your game, and you have to realize that no one's going to help you. This is like I have a phrase. You're going to self-rescue here. This is it. You're like, get it. And I think once you cross that kind of Rubicon, the whole thing just opens up. You know, something more dynamic, something bigger is on the other side of your community. Gotcha. And flipping, you know?
And flipping, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think one of the last parts, almost in closing, is, you know, we've been speaking with guests about generational wealth. Real estate being one of the ways that we can be able to attain generational wealth. What do you see within the industry that can allow everyday people to be able to reach and attain generational wealth?
Through real estate?
Yes.
I think you have to buy. And this is like a double-edged sword, right? Because if you buy a lot, now you've got a rental economy. But at the same time, you've got to there's got to be some sort of equilibrium where you can invest, or at least invest in your own so that you can pull equity out and do things. Whether you got a duplex and you rent one and live in one, or you are building them, or you are fixing your own home, but there's got to be home ownership is the tool here. And it's interesting how, you know, after World War II with the GI Bill, African Americans didn't get that money. And we know that if you go to the Levitt towns, of which I think is Willingboro, those kids went to college because their parents could pull equity out. So at least we have to understand that your home is that tool to get your kids on. And so I think that's the real lesson. Your home is one of your mechanisms to do it.
Got you. that's one of the key vehicles to be able to go ahead and attain generational wealth.
Right. I'm in my early 50s. The stock market has crashed 3 or 4 times. The housing market has crashed 2 or 3 times. Now it depends on where you are, right? If you just waited it out, of course, but that's not how life works. Life's not waiting. You know, your emergencies don't happen conveniently. So if you're waiting for your stock portfolio to come back to where it was in 2018, 2017, I don't know how you live like that. But I don't think people who are wealthy are waiting. I think they're kind of forecasting what they want based on these, small variables. But that's the trick.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
Got it. Malik, appreciate you. Thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
Pleasure. Blessings.